Bottom left-hand side, we're going to start things off with the red Zerg player. This is Serral. Against classic Blue Protoss top right-hand side. So this is from the King of Battles. This obviously played out, not the most recent weekend, but the weekend before, so November... I guess it must have been like November 19th to 21st or so, around those dates. So this is from the group stages, just kind of casting some replays to fill some time between events and stuff today. Obviously ESL Open Cup in a few hours time, so I thought the Serral games from this might be a bit of fun and might be something cool to watch. And we might I don't know how many of these replays we're going to end up casting over the next week or so if we have downtime and stuff, but definitely feels like a cool little section to jump on, or some cool games to kind of have a look at least here, so we'll work on that. Thank you so much, Mr. Toad86, for the Prime sub for the 18 months. Welcome back. If you guys are enjoying the stream, obviously don't forget to hit the follow button to see when we're live again in the future. So we're trying to be live as much as possible, but there's a lot of events going on, so sometimes it's not always possible. Sure, I'm just going to nibble that probe, and the probe gets pushed around a little bit. And I'm just going to be seeing the probe and behind the mineral line then, and just again being a little bit annoying for the moment as we get this PvZ underway. I guess I may as well mention that this one's probably going to go on YouTube as well, so very quickly, if you're watching on YouTube, it's always appreciated if you do enjoy the video to consider hitting that like button, and of course if you really enjoyed, to subscribe to the channel as well. It goes a long way to helping out, as we just have our probe moving around a little bit, and like I say, just being annoying as it should be. For some early game PvZ, obviously Serral did get his hatchery down on the natural expansion, so didn't end up with that out of place or anything. So that's also kind of cool, just getting that into the right location. Yeah, just nice little startup. We'll see where this goes from here, and which direction these players want to continue taking this in as the probe will move out through the bottom side. Again, just on a little bit of an adventure at the moment, and just trying to keep up with information, right? Wants to find as much as possible, as we're going to see a robo facility as the opening from Classic. That's a little bit different right away. Robo facility is not what you usually see in the early stages at all, so going up into a robo facility, and that's going to lead into, well, I imagine that leads into something along the lines of a bit of prism harassment at the very least. I mean, it'd be really crazy to super rush out a Robo-Bay unless we go for like a Colossus or a Disruptor drop. That would really be kind of testing the waters in terms of, you know, things that can happen in a matchup like this. So let's see. It's going to be a super fast Robo-Bay. Okay, we'll see how much I end up liking this, because I feel like in theory, we've kind of seen people do this in the past, and in theory, it never really works out the way they want it to. So let's see. I mean, I assume we're just going to Disruptor drop. Back when Legacy of the Void first started and Disruptors were introduced, like, this was a very popular build to go, like, Disruptor dropping and stuff and harassing, and it was a thing. It really fell out of fashion, and personally I feel like for very good reason, in all honesty. So I'm just going to see the gateway going down, and just going to be seeing a couple of additional queens on the way up here from Serral. As yeah, obviously he needs to figure out what is going on, of course. He has got Overlords poised to the left and the right-hand side, so he can start to make something of a scout soon. I mean, he's about to see this Warp Prism, so if he assumes that is real, he at least knows there's a Robo early, and he will start up a Road Thrower into something of a response to this. So already getting an initial response underway here, and, well, then we'll see what the next step of this will be. Disruptor coming out, and just going to see our Storm going to start pinging against the Overlord. So Overlord taking some damage, and has obviously gotten in for the scouts. So Serral knows what's up. He sees the Robo-Bay early, and here is our first Disruptor already coming across the map. No Gravitic Drive just yet, but that will, I'm sure, come into play soon, as there's our Disruptor dropping down with the Lings here. Some reasonable damage, as it's only one Disruptor. Queen can take that shot and not go down. If it was two Disruptors, that's when you're going to start losing the Queens, but obviously that doesn't happen, so for the moment, it's kind of a whatever moment, as Prism and the Disruptor start heading back home. Nice, Ling's still heading around as we see 2 more Stargates on the way in from Classic as well, getting those beginning in the main base. And all these Lings trying to figure out just what they want to do here in the near future as well, as the Nexus goes down on the 3rd base. The Adept comes in, chases those Lings away, and for the moment the Lings just have to back it up. Again, we're on our way to 2 extra Stargates, so we're just going to go hardcore into the Stargates beyond this. And really just play that kind of Sky Toss kind of style, so that's where we go to. Disruptor drop continues across the map, it does not find much just yet. And for now that will kind of be just pushed away, and we can continue on from there. And going for the next step of this. So on we go. A couple of Phoenix still coming through, and just going to be seeing a couple of Zealots coming out. The +1 air weapons on the way in as well. So all of this coming in. Still our Disruptors trying to find an opening. So not really finding too much success just yet. There is going to be another Queen. I mean, the Queens and stuff are nice to pick off, but is it really getting enough done? Is it really kind of, you know, is this exactly where you want to be at? The Phoenix come through, and they are going to take down that Overseer as well. So Overseer falls, and still a Prism around the left-hand side with these Disruptors. Trying to make something of this, trying to figure out just what they can do in the next few moments. And as the Lings and the Roaches sit down on the low ground, the Disruptors want to get involved in some way, like I'm saying. Just going to drop into the main base and just go for drones, which are kind of getting stuck in the corner here. Uh-oh! 8 drones go down. Nice connections as the Prism again delivering. Serral on his way to Aspire, but obviously Aspire is not necessarily going to be great if the Phoenix are coming through and you're making mutas. If you make Corruptors, then this is not so bad, but I feel like Serral's going to continue losing out on Workers, and Classic has kind of thrown a few curveballs so far. This is definitely not quite the full-on norm, and with 11 drones going down, these Phoenix have been a nice little addition to, obviously, the 8 kills from the Disruptors, and these Disruptors are still active as well. What are we going to get out of that Spire? Are we going to put used to it? I mean, it feels like Serral is really actually almost running out of options. Maybe not 100% sure about how exactly he wants this to go. I was now going to keep the Phoenix moving down to the bottom left-hand side, so away they will go as well. And they are just going to keep on moving to try and get something as they run into Queens. Corruptors are on the way. I mean, Corruptors obviously do trade well against Phoenix just because they take a lot of shots from the Phoenix to actually die off, so generally the Corruptors just don't really die. The Phoenix back around down to the south. That Overlord still sat out over there. The Disruptors back into the War Prism. I like what Classic has been doing. I mean, he's played this very well so far. The question is now, does he know to really get that Prism out of there? I would say yes. He knows the Spire is up. He knows it's probably only a matter of time until there really is a proper answer to that on the map. And that he's probably pushing it if he tries to really stick around for too much longer, right? So I think he's fairly well aware of what's going on there. As the Phoenix move back over the right side, there's a Ling that's kind of watching out for them. Blink is coming through, finishing soon, +1 attack. In a similar vein, all of these additional gateways still on the way up as well. And yeah, there's a lot of Corruptors that are now moving into the middle of the map and looking to head to the upper right-hand side. And looking to get themselves involved in the next stage of this. So let's see what they can do, guys. Let's see what they're going to get up to. As our Corruptors move to the far right side here and get this underway. Ready to maybe just snipe down some structures. Looks like we're just going to go straight up for the Nexus. Even if the Phoenix did show up here, I mean, the Phoenix don't kill Corruptors quickly, right? So you're still kind of missing kind of a proper defense. The Stalker's going to blink in. I mean, they commit for the Nexus, no doubt about it, because, well, there is just no reason not to. Obviously, Serral's next question is going to be, can he get enough up on the ground to deal with the Blink Stalker count getting higher and higher? The Corruptors are going to be good to help against the Phoenix, but they're also dead weight against Stalkers, so that's kind of a bit of a question mark as Disruptors drop down and lift back up. The Phoenix are going to get chased away with that War Prism. And a lot of units making their way around the left-hand side, so getting themselves into position over on the left. And even more units warping in to join up with that as well as we morph in a couple of extra Archons. The Corruptors are going to go for another base. I mean, that's the right idea. Super Battery's going to try and protect it, but against this many Corruptors, I'm not even sure the strength of a Super Battery can save it. As you can just see, it doesn't matter at all. A couple Stalkers warp in. Let's watch this Nexus die, and the Corruptors will turn on the Phoenix. Meanwhile, though, this fight starts out over here, and here's our question of, does Serral have enough kind of ground force to deal with this? He gets rid of an Archon very quickly, and a Disruptor, and the next Archon is very low HP already, so maybe that will be Serral's opportunity. It still is just Roach Ravager as we continue through with this. The next Disruptor runs too far forward. No Prism here to help out either. And it feels like that is where Serral is just going to defend this. Just Blink Stalkers. not going to make the difference. The the Prism is nearby for Warpins. It's just not near enough. I'm kind of surprised that the Disruptors didn't just get the Prism there. I guess they really just want to get rid of the Phoenix, as Serral will continue to spam out Roach, Ravager, Ling, and that should be good to clean up the Stalkers there anyway. I guess it's not at a point where he really needs to stop Warpins from coming through. He's already comfortable to hold this anyway, and hence the GG, and Serral takes game 1 of this best of 3. In the top left-hand side, taking the 1-0 lead, we will have ourselves the red Zerg player Serral up against the bottom right blue Protoss from Alpha X. It is classic. Of course, Alpha X ran this event, the King of Battles. This replay pack available, I think still available to purchase on their Match Reno page if you would like to check that out, if you want to get these replays for yourself. That's how I got them. So do check that out. I'm sure if you just Google King of Battles Match Reno or something, it would show up or so. Alright, well, a simulator coming through, as we do have our probe of Classic heading out across to the top side. So going to pick up a little bit of information here. Obviously, again, sending it out late enough that it will not block the natural hatchery. So kind of just lets that come up in that regard. And I do find that kind of interesting, actually. Just kind of the allowing of this to kind of happen. He's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, you want to take that base, you take that base. So many Protoss players do put the effort into the earlier probe just to make sure that is a block and he forced the third hatchery. But obviously Classic just kind of saying like, yeah, whatever, not too bothered, not too upset about it. It kind of just is what it is. Probe just trying to deny as much mining as possible, just trying to be an annoyance here in the early stages, as that is usually kind of the major job of the probe, so no surprises there. It's doing what it should be doing. Scouting back around into the main base one more time. Again, just picking up as much info as you can, and until Lings are out and stuff, there's no reason for this probe to go home. You just want to keep on picking up the information, try and check if more drones are coming out, see if there's already Lings on the way. You know what I mean? Just anything you can find right now is just nice to basically know about. Probe obviously mines out these minerals going back, and that's kind of cool too, because it shortens the attack distance, and that's typically going to help the Protoss player, because it's a very narrow path. It's not like you're going to see a whole Roach army pushing through there super quick. Most of the Zerg attacks will come from a third base here or here anyway. But it does speed up like an Adept being able to get across, and maybe give Adepts just another pathway out, so it's something which is neat to open. It's not really super like game changer or anything at the end of the day, I don't think either. I think very comfortable, just a little setup there initially, and just something that makes a lot of sense to do as well. So far so good, kind of enjoying that. And yeah, just continuing on in. Seeing what happens next, as another Oracle is going to start up. So on with the Oracle. And that's going to be our first Oracle of the game, and then we can get ourselves into the Void Ray, perhaps, if we want to play the typical Void Ray stuff. Maybe Classic does play something which is going to involve like a second Oracle or so. That is a possibility. That is something we've seen before. Again, link speed will be finishing up in just a few moments' time. It's just getting that link speed completed. Still a Void Ray on the way out, so there it is. Just going to get confirmation of what exactly our next step of this is going to be. I'm just getting a Spore Crawler down in the mineral line as well, just preparing for something like the Oracle, as Serral is not going to be caught too off guard or anything here in the early stages. Queen just going to put the damage onto the Oracle a little bit, so just going to tip-tap that, and again, just kind of fend it off. Good position, Queen just really in location right away to just minimize any chance this Oracle can get much done, as the Void Ray gets rid of an Overlord. I'm just going to be seeing our Twilight Council still coming up as well, so all of that just still building along at the moment. Very much so kind of expected, kind of going to plan at the moment. Yeah, so far just kind of no concerns. I mean, the Twilight Council, I say, go into plan. I mean, it's kind of something I expect Classic to do, going into Resonating Glaives to follow up the Stargate. Bit of Starglaives. Yeah, he is a player that kind of will switch it up. You know, while he will play some Sky Toss stuff, he's just got a very kind of fun PvZ as well, and he definitely isn't the guy to kind of grind out the same build repeatedly. So that's something that we're gonna see right now as we see the Glaives continue through. There's a Robo Facility on the way down as well, so just bringing that up. As again, Roach Roarins on the way, and the rest of this all continuing on as well. Just gonna see that Void Ray still moving to the upper right-hand side. A few Lings just nibbling away at some rocks. And now gonna go across the map. Just gonna see all these Adepts, right, which is pretty much a sign as to what's happening. So now you pretty much know for sure what's going on in that regard, at least. So not gonna be having too much information withheld from you there. Still a few more Lings on the left-hand side coming through. There's a lot of Adepts that will make their way up towards the top. And they're going to shade and, well, continue to the upper left-hand side for the moment. And Oracle trying to get some Lings which are scouting into the main. And they're going to see the gateway counter here as well. Sees that it's 4, not 6. That's good info to have, right? Tells you just how committed the Protoss is and maybe, you know, maybe somehow how much damage you can take here. And Serral on 58 drones. He just doesn't have any units here right now. Lings and Roaches in production, but yeah, 8 drones dead. This is bad because now you're going to start forcing multiple mineral lines to be pulling away at the same time. And as multiple mineral lines have to go running away and running around, this becomes complete and utter chaos. And, you know, Nenny never really stabilizes Serral. And that means that your unit count never really gets to where it wants to be. And you've already taken major damage. Classic is going to hit Serral where it hurts. And this is really good damage so far. It's going to be seen how Adept's going to shade back down to low ground. 21, 24 drones go down. Jeez, I mean, yeah, Serral is still just making units as well. So I guess his plan here is to clean this up and just all-in counter-attack, because there is not really much longevity left in this game for Serral when it comes to just the drone count here. 35 drones. Well, now he starts up a couple, but trying to bounce back from that kind of damage ain't going to happen. And Serral was just caught with not the right amount of attention being paid. That's going to hurt. Guys, sorry, I realized my title and bracket command are out of date. I didn't realize I forgot to change it. This is Serral vs. Classic from King of Battles. Just casting some replays. ESL Open Cup starts in like 3 hours time, so just killing some time until ESL Open Cup later with some replays, getting some casting done, some stuff I can put on the YouTube. Lings continue to run around. There is a Void Ray there to turn the Lings away. Let's just get pushed back nice and quickly, and it feels like Serral just has... I mean, I don't know where you go from this anyway. Like, I feel like you just take that amount of damage. You're not meant to have an answer to this. You're kind of just meant to die at that stage, right? You're just kind of meant to be kind of dead in the water. He's making Ling Ravager with +1 missiles and roach speed, so I'm not sure if that's afraid of an attack or wants to attack. Then he starts up more drones. It feels like Serral is a bit all over the place. He tries to catch back up in this game. Like I said, I would have thought like one kind of concentrated attack, just continuously produce units and then just go. You know, making that decision of either doing that or committing to just sort of saying, okay, now I'm just going to heavily drone and hope he doesn't attack. But it seems like Serral is trying to walk the in-between. He's trying to do a bit of both, and I'm not sure if that works, right? Because if you're going to like hard commit to one or the other, there's the potential that your opponent plays badly into it, and then you're in a, you know, maybe in a better position. But if you're trying to walk the in-between from a bad spot, that just feels difficult. That feels really, really tough to pull off properly, and I guess we'll see if it will come to fruition in the end as the Lings of Serral go down the bottom side. Classic is off over the right. He has got a Prism. Disruptor's popping out. Yeah, Serral is just, well, he's going to catch the probe trying to make the 4th base, so that's something at least. Delaying the 4th base of your opponent, like... Okay, I mean, yeah. I mean, you take the wins that you're given, right? So you take that. It's something, that's for sure. And we just see the rest of these Lings back to the upper left-hand side. A few more Ravages popping out. Roaches and Lings still coming through. The +1 missiles is still producing. Is going to be popping out shortly. I mean, in a Baneling Nest as well, so you can add some Banes going. There is some harassing the main base. Some Adepts from that Warp Prism coming through, and they will come through for 5, 6 kills already, so... And some decent damage done, right? You get 6 workers right away. Some good starting damage, like I say. It's just something that again keeps Serral back a little bit. As Classic is really just waiting for his moment. You know, that's basically where we're at. It's Classic's chance, or it's Classic's opportunity to pick the fight that he wants. And I'm sure you can pick that in the near future here as these few Stalkers continue around with the Immortals, Adepts, and Disruptors. Goes down the left-hand side, moving along a little bit as well as everything gathers up just for a few moments there in Classic. Again, all of these units over on this left-hand side. I mean, Serral is on his way to maxing out, but again, so is Classic, and Serral's army is just mid-tier tech, or low tech, really. And Classic's is much better, so I'll be surprised if Serral is able to win this fight. Let's see if he can create an engagement. We know that's one of the things that Serral's very good at, picking fights that he shouldn't win and that he is able to. So let's see if he can do some magic here, as we have Adepts unloading back in the main Classic. A little worried that there's no Prism over here, I suppose, for reinforcements. It's a bunch of corrosive powers initially, not the best of starts, as obviously Disrupt will continue to force Serral back. They're connecting on multiple Ravages at a time. If you're trading like that, yes, this is going to go well for you. More corrosive powers going into the center here. Another Disruptor shot lands on a Ravager. Another couple Disruptor shots going out and away. Few Banelings connecting, but yeah, I think this is going to be enough. I mean, we do lose a lot of the Disruptors, mind you. It's just what do you do about these Stalkers? Even the Lings running in are seemingly not going to be enough to get rid of those. I mean, Serral, honestly, I want to say he nearly did it, and I know it wasn't really, like, close per se at the end, but it felt possible, right? It felt like it was doable almost. GG's, and Serral is going to pick up game... Classic's going to pick up game number 2, which means we're tied 1-1 in the best of 3. Good guy Wardy actually remembers to do the right thing sometimes. Top left side, we do have our blue Protoss player. It is Classic here. Curious Minds is kind of an interesting map to end up on for map 3 for PvZ. Kind of makes me wonder what the heck the vetoes were between these two, because, yeah, Curious Minds is, like, typically not good for a Protoss who has a lot of open space to defend on the third. Very short, so a lot of the Zerg rushes that Serral might bring out hit very quickly. I gotta say, I'm kind of surprised, guys. I'm really kind of a little bit shocked. That Curious Minds is in a best of 3. Like a best of 5, maybe, but a best of 3? Very, very interesting. I'm really intrigued by how Classic plays this. To me, you've got to play something quirky. This is not a Stargate Void Ray map. Because if you try and play a Stargates and Void Rays, then you just die to a Queen Walk, I think. You've got to do something. I think so. The way I want to say MaxPax approaches this map is he goes for like 3 gates initially, then builds a depth, then goes into like a later gate glaives. And then basically his entire plan is to eventually just... He slows down the Zerg economy all the time, so you can justify just taking a much later third base. Because I just don't think you can get one of your typically quick third bases up and running. You're going to threaten with a pylon here. I mean, it's a few drones that are going to pull, but nothing really going to come of that, right? I mean, there is no potential follow-up actually there. There's nothing you can really do with it, so I'm not sure what the plan really will be. Threatens for as long as possible, cancels. I mean, Serral's just patrolling, right? So it forces a little bit of lost mine time. It ain't bad. Just obviously there was no actual follow-up in the end. And hey, what's up? Confirmed one. Thank you so much for the 5-month resub. And D-Devil, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you for supporting the stream today, and thank you for some love. For a couple subs. Much appreciated as we keep this all going. I probe down over here, just hanging around, chilling out a little bit. I got chased by those Lings. Robo Facility is coming up from Classic, so he's going to go maybe back to what he did on the first map, which would make sense in terms of, you know, in kind of what I was just talking about having to take like a later third base and stuff. That is something which, you know, you're going to have a lot of units to take the third base with and units on the map to pressure with to kind of keep your third base safe. I think that's exactly what you need, something along the lines of that, if you're going to have any sort of success here on Curious Minds. So I don't hate it for Classic. I'm a bit worried that maybe you end up using the same build twice in a row here, and that's obviously something which Serral also won against the first time around. I did feel like actually Serral did okay against it. Classic did okay with it the first time around. I actually liked where he was at, but Man, Serral really just crushed him when it came to the fight. Which obviously sort of suggests that maybe it wasn't so great. But I actually don't think the harassment stage was so bad. Maybe the double Stargate wasn't the best possible follow-up. Maybe that's where this kind of fell apart a little bit. Maybe the Phoenix didn't pull their weight, and the Disruptors definitely did do their, the amount they were meant to do. So, yeah, I guess on we go, and we'll continue to find out as we see a couple Lings just patrolling here and there. Roach Roaring is on the way already on the natural expansion, so just bringing that up. Couple Queens going through. That third hatchery is now finishing. And the Overlord moves away to the side as that single Stalker is going to go pinging the Overlord quite nicely there already. It's just working through that, and yeah, actually is going to get a kill. So obviously that's one of the initial benefits that happened last time too. And I mean, for Serral, that means he's already kind of aware. Okay, well, you've got a Prism up. That's something you're working with here. That's one thing I have to be aware of and, thoughtful about. So Serral from this is already picking up information and, just trying to, again, figure out exactly what it is beyond this as well. This time he does not have the scout into the main base. He doesn't have Overlord's position to do that, so without the scout into the main base, he will be a little bit worse off in terms of exact information, but this is where I feel like, well, you've already played against this once today, so it's like, if you can really just say this feels so similar to the last time, maybe that's where the trouble will come around. Maybe that's why, again, I don't really like it so much for Classic, just because, again, you do the same thing twice, and it really feels like you're letting Serral kind of be like, oh, okay, well, let me make every adjustment possible, and every read possible to be in just the best possible situations, so that's my biggest concern. As otherwise, we just see the Nexus going down, Colossus coming up, so we're actually going to go Colossus a little bit fast after, so the follow-up is different. I do think that part is good. The follow-up being different, I think initially, kind of like I say, the initial startup was not bad for Classic. It was very much so how the game went after that, as the Disruptor survives, and you see a couple Queens having to transfuse each other up. Only one of the Disruptors hit them 3 Queens, so no kill, and obviously that's where the transfusion can save the day, and exactly what it did in the end is Lings chase a Zealot around once more, chase a few Zealots around, and the Overlord scouting through to try and figure out what's going on. We'll see the Robo Bay is still researching, and he sees the Colossus at the front, so he's fully aware of what's going on. Even if he didn't see the Colossus at the front, he knows Prism Speed's already done, and the Robo Bay is still researching, so that's pretty much a tell that it's extended thermal lens. So yeah, Serral is very much so in the know about what's going on. He knows everything that's happening thus far, and he can react accordingly, which at the moment just seems to be Roach Ravager Bane. I think Serral still believes aggression onto that third base, as he's not making any drones right now. I think he just believes aggression onto that third base can deny that even with force fields and splash damage, so... Oh, Classic just straight up cancels the third base as well, though, so he says, I'm not even using this. I'm actually just going to go with an all-out 2-base attack. The third was a fake, so... Again, something which would make a little bit of sense given the map. Warping in some extra Stalkers there, but that's a slow warp in now because there's no Nexus, so... Well, across we go. Serral's going to see no Nexus, so now he's fully aware of what's going on too. I mean, he already cut drones at 59 though, so he's been pretty much non-stop building units for a good amount of time already. Prism unloading a couple of Zealots, and I'm just going to see the Roach Ravager still settling down as well. Just ready to greet this, as we'll see what exactly this attack can get done. 2 Colossus, a Disruptor, 4 Sentries, and Stalkers. It's the dream right now for Classic. First Disruptor shot gets a Ravager. Corrosive Bars don't quite connect. Gonna come back into this as the Roach Ravager is forced away. Good force fields, actually. Really good force fields initially. As this army of Classic continues through. There's a few Banelings that are morphing in. Not sure where they're gonna come in from. In the near future, looks like they're gonna start waddling in from the right-hand side as the Roach Ravager comes through for this, chasing those Stalkers back once again. Another Disruptor shot coming in, and doesn't quite land. I mean, Serral is just maintaining enough units here. The thing is, the Colossus do good splash, but Roaches don't die quickly to Colossus, and so that's why you need everything else to really start connecting and really doing a bit of this damage as well, right? Looks like we're going to see Serral. He is taking a lot of damage on the hatchery, so the hatchery is getting closer and closer to going down as well. That will be another factor in this, for sure. Going to be seeing our Icarus of Val's going down again, keeping that Stalker Colossus army at bay. The Disruptor shot coming through, not landing just yet. This back and forth basically just continues, and it's just a question of, can Classic eventually trade well enough? Can he get maybe a big Disruptor shot that's going to change the momentum here? Because right now he's just stalled out, and he's stalled out against a 57 drone Zerg who's just making enough units that even if they trade badly, there's just going to be enough of them, they keep on coming, and that will be Classic's problem. Is, oh, he eats some Corrosive Vials as well. That ain't going to be pretty. Disruptor shot hits a queen, kills one, hurts another. I mean, we're just going to run up this ramp here. Serral's going to keep on coming through. These Stalkers in some trouble. And that really does seem as though we're just taking steps towards a defense, right? Because, like I say, Classic's army keeps on dropping off. Serral seems to just get larger and larger. Not enough of it is dying in these fights. More Colossus shots. Firing away. And a few Corrosive Vials trying to land as well. Roach Ravager dodging back and forwards one more time. Oh, we did grab the Observer, by the way, so it's a nice little pick-off. A few more Corrosive Vials continue throwing the Stalkers back onto the left-hand side base here. Hatchery will fall, but Serral's had enough time to get the right side base up. Oh, it doesn't fall because he gets the Transfusion. Now he dives and he gets the Disruptor as well. He might not be able to go up this ramp, and yes, Classic has used this position beautifully, but again, to what avail? Finally, he's going to kill this Hatchery. Like I say, Serral's had the time to get this base up and running. And Classic isn't set up to hit that base like he's been hitting this base. He's got to move into a much more open area on creep, and that's going to be very scary. And that's the exact sort of thing that Classic's been wanting to avoid. That's the whole point of playing around where he's been playing. Oh, Serral just believes he's got enough now anyway. He's going to come from both sides, and he's just going to go for this. He's just going to fight the Stalkers too. Doesn't even try and target fire the Colossus, knowing they're going to be microed into the Prism. Serral just continues through this, and I think he has got enough to take this down. Classic will lose the War Prism, which means the Colossus are stuck. They might try and run to the low ground, but even the Queens will do okay against them. Serral gets the 2-1 victory in the end with a good defense. A job well done. GG's. That is going to be Serral taking the 2-1. Moving on through to the winners match, I believe, of the group.